What's up everybody, Moniz here, and today I'm reviewing the Acer Triton 700. I'm super excited about this one because this is the first gaming laptop that is not only light, portable, thin, and easy to carry around, it's also very powerful because it has a GTX 1080 inside of here. Now it doesn't come cheap, but it's also the future of gaming laptops for 2018. So is the Acer Triton 700 worth it? Let's find out. I gotta commend Acer. They did a fantastic job designing the Acer Triton 700. It is beautiful, it's all metal, and instead of going with all red like other gaming laptops, they went with a blue tone, which I think looks fantastic. Now here's the thing. This thing is still heavy at 5.29 pounds, so don't let the 0.74 inch thinness fool you. It does fit in your backpack without any issues, but you will feel the weight because there's so much packed into it. Also, you can open up the laptop using one hand, which doesn't happen too often, but when it is fully closed and you press on the lid, you can hear the mechanical keyboard clicking, so just don't put any heavy objects on top of it. For ports on the left-hand side, you have your Noble Lock, a USB 2.0 port, two USB 3.0 ports, and your audio jacks. On the back, you have a full-size HDMI, which does 4K at 60 Hz, your power connector, and of course, a full-size display port. On the right-hand side, you have your Ethernet jack, another USB 3.0 port, and a USB Type-C Thunderbolt 3 port that uses 4 PCIe lanes. So this means you can hook up an external GPU. The inside of this laptop is super interesting. Not only do you have to remove the keyboard to get inside, you also have to remove 2 ribbon cables so you don't damage it. But once you're in, you got 2 slots for an M2 SSD. The ones in here are running RAID 0, so a total of 512 gigabytes with really good read and write speeds. You have 2 DIMM slots so you can have up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, and of course a replaceable Wi-Fi card. Everything in here is replaceable except for the soldered on GPU and CPU. The display on the Triton 700 is absolutely amazing if you're a gamer. It has G-Sync, 120Hz panel, it's TN, has pretty good color reproduction, and if you haven't gamed on a 120Hz panel, you should, because the experience is night and day. Not only does everything run and look a lot smoother, it just makes the game feel more immersive. Surprisingly enough, color reproduction is not too bad for a TN panel, 96% sRGB and about 74% Adobe RGB. For brightness, it's on par with most laptops, getting around 306 nits of brightness, so you could do a little bit of creative work, just the viewing angles are not going to be as good as an IPS panel. So just above the display we have a 720p webcam. It looks like this, your typical webcam, which is totally fine for streaming games and of course video conferencing. Sound was one area that I was completely worried about just because of the size of this laptop and how thin it is, but I was super shocked when I started playing music on this thing. Not only are the speakers upward facing, so it hits you directly in the face, it actually gets pretty loud. I was listening to tons of music, I was gaming, everything just sounded good. Highs were nice and crisp when I was listening to the vocals in the game. The bass was there, which is uncommon for most gaming laptops, and even the voices and everything just sounded like it was right in front of me. Now this does support Dolby Atmos, so if you have headphones that support it, you can hook it up to this and get even better sound. Next up is the keyboard, and this hands down has the most interesting keyboard I've ever used. First and foremost, keyboards are usually placed at the top of the deck with the touchpad just below. Acer had to place the keyboard on the bottom in order to fit all the heat sinks to keep this laptop cool. Now this is a mechanical gaming keyboard, which is fantastic, and I wish more manufacturers included them on their gaming laptops. This one feels great, it's nice to the touch, and even though the travel distance is a little shallow at 1.3 millimeters, it sounds good and still feels good under the finger. Also, there's anti-ghosting, so it will register all your key presses. Which brings me to the touchpad. That glass panel on top that lets you see inside is also a touchpad. The concept and the idea behind it is amazing, so I gotta give credit to Acer, but the practicality of it is not that good. I mean, the accuracy is not there, gestures just don't work as well as a regular touchpad, but for what it's worth and for the design of this laptop, it was a great idea. Plus, it's also much better than what Asus did with the Zephyrus. They placed their touchpad on the right-hand side, which completely screws over people like me who are left-handed. My suggestion is to hook up a gaming mouse instead, and Acer actually has a mouse that goes with this laptop. It's called the Acer Cestus 500. The color scheming and everything matches with it. It's 7200 DPI, and it's a really good mouse. There's also 2 panels you can place on the side. It's ambidextrous, so it works with everybody, and there's even a sensitivity button that lets you go from low to high. I'll place a link to it in the description down below. For gaming, the Acer Triton 700 has amazing performance. Not only is it packed with a GTX 1080 Max-Q processor, it has 32 gigabytes of RAM, 2 SSDs in RAID 0 configuration for super fast read and write speeds, and of course an i7 7700 HQ processor. These things put together offer a phenomenal gaming experience. Now for those of you out there unfamiliar with Max-Q, the 1080 in here is slightly slower than a regular 1080, but offers lower power consumption. So not only do you get a laptop that doesn't overheat as easily, you do get slightly slower performance. So think of the speeds of this laptop between a GTX 1070 and a regular GTX 1080. I played Overwatch on Epic with settings set to max at full HD, and I was getting around 80 to 90 frames per second. Destiny 2, I had it set to max as well. I was getting around 100 frames per second. And Wolfenstein 2, which is also another great game that I've been playing recently, I was getting around 100 frames per second when things were getting intense. Heat management was one area that did not go as well as I expected. I thought this thing with a lower TDP on the GPU, the 5 heat sinks running across, and of course the 3D Aeroblade fans, that this thing would never get hot enough. But unfortunately it got to 90 degrees Celsius on the CPU, which is a little bit too hot for my liking, and of course it thermal throttled a little bit. Now, it didn't affect my gameplay, I didn't see any frames drop, but it's something to keep in mind if you're using this for long periods of use. Surface temperatures also got quite hot. The touchpad, that glass thing on the top of the deck, got too hot to the touch, around 55 to 58 degrees Celsius, which is a little too high. Sound on this thing is a little bit loud, so if you're running things at full load, you're gonna get about 60 decibels, but on idle it sits around 40. Now, if you do crank the fan speeds to its max potential, it helps with heat management, but it just gets really loud. Last up is battery life, and I did not get great battery life with this laptop. Only got about 2.5 hours of use before needing to charge. So you're gonna wanna keep this thing plugged in at all times. So here are my closing thoughts. The Acer Triton 700 is an amazing gaming laptop. It has amazing performance, it has a great design, portable form factor with the latest 1080 GPU, an amazing mechanical keyboard, and of course, great sound. The only thing it suffers from is poor heat management, awkward placement of the touchpad and keyboard, and of course, poor battery life. All in all, this is a very good first attempt for a radical design. And it also shows the future of gaming laptops. 2017 ended off in a good way. It produced an amazing portable gaming laptop that showcases the future of gaming. I am so excited to see what Acer brings in 2018. I can only imagine the thin and powerful products that they're gonna bring to the market. Plus, this thing for its size has tons of ports so you can plug in all of your devices. So that wraps up my review of the Acer Triton 700. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below, and what do you want to see on the next model of this in 2018. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and as always, I will see you in the next video.